Hello, and welcome to the end of aging and premature death. Mankind has the capability of living centuries instead of mere decades, and I'm going to show you right here the disease that we have, the infection, the plague that mankind has that causes us to age, and I'm going to show you how this infection enters our body and how it ages us over a period of decades, over a period of 8, 9, 10 decades. It causes mankind's body to finally be so decrepit and brittle that we finally die from a lack of energy, from a lack of life in our body. So let's take a look at a few things here. We're going to discuss who first discovered the means for the disease to enter our body, but they didn't understand what they had discovered. They, in science, for centuries now, men made discoveries. Their conclusions, in many ways, were the obvious conclusions. What was making something, how they were acting while they were making it, the visual observance of the research they were doing. They were seeing certain microbes, certain bacteria developing things, acting in certain ways. So they came to their conclusions. They went on to start investigating these substances, but it turns out they had found the method in which mankind is infected with the disease that I call the Sensonic plague, and I've even termed the Sensonic plague due to my respect for the SENS organization. You notice onic on each. That is because we die due to the many acids that are made by the many, many strains of bacteria on earth and the many strains of bacteria that are inside of our body, not just living off of us, but destroying us in the midst. Great men of the past told us this. Eli Michnikov, over a century ago, mentioned that he felt that there were some bacteria that could be good for mankind, but all in all, he felt that the bacteria of the body and blood and the bacteria that even land on us and we inhale through our lungs, this bacteria is what? It is the reason we age. Eli Michnikov, over 100 years ago, hit the nail right on the head of one of the major causes of mankind aging. But then there were wars at the time, there were diseases at the time that he had to start concentrating on, and he got off the subject finally. He should have stayed on that subject because he was oh so close. Oh so close. Here we have Plato mentioned here on the board. I write all this on the board so I'll remember to talk about it, and so anyone I speak with will have somewhat of a visual of what my thinking is and how I found the fact that we have a pandemic plague. All biocells on Earth have the pandemic plague I call the Sensonic plague and the Sensonic plague. We have a severe infection, a massive infection, but it is a sinister, clandestine method and a sinister infection because it has stayed hidden from science and is right before our eyes. So let's take another look here. We've got Plato. Plato said that the most noble thing a man can do is study what mankind is. He was speaking of biology. The only way you can find out what mankind is to examine the body of man under a microscope, visual. Everything you can do to figure out what man is biology. So Plato was speaking the most noble of acts would be biology. And he was very correct. As the Greeks were so correct in every fashion, even what many call mythology is being proven today as fact. So here we go. Walter Gilbert made a statement that got him the Nobel Prize on the theory of how life began on Earth, how life started on Earth. And he was very correct in many ways, especially the beginning, naturally. Everyone wonders, how did it begin? Well, he named a theoretical life form in existence he called Luca. Luca was basically an energy. It came before nanobacteria. Why do I mention nanobacteria? Science fights now whether nanobacteria is even a life form, and yes, it is a life form, and it was the next step for Luca. An energy had to build small particles, put it together for it to be mobile, for this energy, this weak, free energy called Luca, had to be an energy being. You can only go so many depths into matter, and then suddenly you have a massless thing called energy. It's truly a massless particle, but it's energy. So he mentioned that there was Luca, then went into RNA world. Well, science has proven that nanobacteria, and some of the smallest found has been 20 nanos and smaller, has RNA in them. What did Walter Gilbert say? First, there was the dirty energy, if you want to call it that, or the free energy, and then it started making microbes. It started making structures for this energy to recreate itself, to keep growing, to keep going, to be more mobile. A free energy is the only thing it could have been, because finally it's on a massless level. Had to be energy. So Walter Gilbert's correct. Luca, energy, to bacterial particles, now called by some, but nanobacteria is what it is, and it has RNA, and it is a being that is in there. It has energy. According to Max Planck, anything that has energy has a consciousness and is deciding to do things. Max Planck stated long ago, anything with a force, anything with energy in it, has a consciousness. So this energy was consciously deciding to make nanobacteria so it could maybe build some other structures. Then it went on to make DNA, went on to make genes to where it could express its RNA more readily and do it more precisely. So we moved on into DNA microbes. So let's end that there, because I've spoken to men about that before and in other videos. But what we must remember is mankind is a conglomerate of microbes. Microbes built us to be a large microbe. Our nucleus feeds every microbe that makes up our body. Our entire system is made up of single microbes that bond together, that join together to keep this structure alive and moving. And the nucleus of all of these microbes truly is the stomach of mankind, the stomach of animals. The stomach, the nucleus of this large microbe built by microbes, feeds every cell of the body. Everything that comes into this nucleus called our intestines, our inner structure of our gut and body, everything that comes into it, liquid or food or whatever, breathing, everything comes in, goes into every cell of the body. Science has proven this. You can take a medication and it's in every cell of the body in a matter of 20 minutes or so. That's how amazing this structure is and how it feeds every cell of the body. The moment it hits the intestines of man, this large microbe built by microbes on the same system as microbes, we have organs, they have organelles. I have to speak this each time because it is confusing to think about it first, but science has it on paper, on data. We see it with pregnant women around us. Man makes mad, passionate love to the woman he desires. He injects her with the essence of her and the essence of him, the essence of mankind, the way mankind is reproduced for centuries, the conjugation of man and woman coming together, and he injects her with the microbes that she rose up from and that he rose up from. Just reproduction. Like you see bacterial strains, they will spread. Bacterial microbes, they will spread through conjugation or just reproduction. They'll keep spreading. That's the same thing with mankind. We're spreading, spreading. The first man and woman is still in us, reproducing the microbe or macro microbe we call sperm, and then the stem cells, these small microbes that come from the macro microbe, start building themselves over and over again to make a large stem cell. I say in mankind, we are basically a large stem cell because we are as the stem cell in this structure. We examine things, and if it needs repaired, we do it. If something's sick, we examine why it's sick and we repair them, we cure them. I say it upsets some people. That's the way it goes. Upsets religion extremely. That I tell them we're from microbes and we rose up from microbes, and scientists get very angry. Some of them. What do you mean I'm a microbe? I said, well, you're a microbe. We're built by microbes. We have organs. They have organelles. Our organs make proteins, many peptides, enzymes, hormones. All these things, same thing in each cell of our body. They make in their inner structure with their organelles, they make proteins, enzymes, nucleic acids, amino acids. It's an amazing system. But the nucleus, truly, the main nucleus of every cell of this structure, the main nucleus is our intestine, is where it's absorbed into the body and goes through every cell of the body. Our gut is the main intestine. So we are large microbes built on the same system, and we die in the same fashion as microbes do. They die from being, you see it under microscopes. If a microbe is not infected, is not, injected with any kind of phages or any kind of bacteria enter them or viruses, they continue existing. But we see under a microscope when a bacteria is infected with, a microbe is infected with bacteria, viruses, phages, whatever the case may be, we'll watch it. It only takes 15, 20 minutes. That bacteria starts slowing down. That microbe begins to slow down. It starts being malformed. It's not able to commit the acts it once committed swiftly. It's slowly, slowly aging. Then that microbe stops and dies, and then the bacteria burst from it and eat as much of the microbe as they can, eat its DNA, whatever the case, and then they go on to the next attack, the next infection. Same thing with mankind. We are filled with bacteria, but they attack our cells. Each of our individual cells are attacked by bacteria from the main nucleus. The main nucleus of the body is the gut. Every bacterial cell in our body is attacked by bacteria, by whatever's in our body, viruses, phages, whatever toxins they can make. It goes into our system and enters each cell by way of the main nucleus of each individual cell, which is our body, our gut. Okay, when mankind dies, he's getting older. He's being infected slowly, slowly, slowly with acids, with many acids. Some look familiar to us. We say it's okay, that acid's okay. Wrong. I'm going to show you this here. But as you see with man, just like that single microbe under a microscope, mankind's body reproduces. When its cells get too sick, get too old, they die off. They're too old. Why are they dying? Because they're being made old, just like that single cell we see under a microscope. They're being made old by the secret attack of these acids on our body. Those cells die, but we have a reproductive system to where we're being reproduced, but you know that finally breaks down and wears out, and we can no longer develop enough telomeres and the things we need. So the body stops. We're getting decrepit. We can't do things as fast. We have less energy. We die, and then suddenly the bacteria burst forth from this large microbe. They all burst forth just like the single cell we see under a microscope. They burst forth. They eat the body of man, and then they leave on to the next battle if they can join another killing someplace else. So we've recapped that as best I can. Who discovered how bacteria infect and kill us? Who discovered it? And he did not even realize he had discovered it but if he would have been able to live more years, and him and Eli Michnikov maybe would have been able to get together, this disease would have been ended long ago. We had the capability of ending this plague, I say 2 centuries ago. But who was it that discovered how we are poisoned and killed by this pandemic plague we have that I call the Sensonic plague? Andre Grotta. Andre Grotta. He discovered bacteriocins. He discovered that certain bacteria make things that the other bacteria seemingly need, and they take it into their system, and it absorbs into their system, and it enters the interworkings of the system and slowly kills that bacteria. It happens quickly under a microscope, but you can be sure on that level of life, they think it's taking place over decades. Where it takes decades to kill man, it takes a few minutes to kill the bacteria. But Andre Grotta discovered that bacteria make bacteriocins, and many of these bacteriocins have to be similar to what that structure needs to exist for it to be absorbed into that bacteria's body, for it to be absorbed into its organelles, for it to destroy this bacteria. Same thing with mankind. The same thing with mankind. The exact same thing. Mankind is attacked by acids made by bacteria through many ways, through plasmids, through operons, through gene expression, through theft. As I say, plasmids, they find DNA and RNA laying around, they put it to use. But as we see here, bacteria said by mankind to be helping us, living in symbiosis with us. Good old Pseudomonas aeruginosa is just trying to get along with us when it's inside our body and it's making different amino acids and different peptides to help out mankind, the good being that Pseudomonas aeruginosa is. The killer, the ubiquitous killer that in every hospital around the earth is 9 times out of 10 the microbe that kills that person in their old age, that kills that person during their sickness. The killer, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, is in our gut, being a real nice companion, a real nice associate in symbiosis with us, and decided to make us some amino acids and the like to help us. No, ladies and gentlemen. No. That is a humanocin, is what I describe it as, a humanocin. Bacteriocins are made by bacteria to destroy microbes. What is mankind? We are a large structured microbe, and when they make these humanocins, that can be vitamins, that can be peptides of many kinds, they enter each cell individually. They come through our gut lining. They enter each cell individually, and our entire existence, these cells start dying because they're receiving an almost identical formula, chemical structure of a vitamin that they need, so it's able to come through the locks of the cell that only allow in certain locks, certain metabolites. But the thing is, the metabolite of vitamin K2 is connected to many variables that the bacteria have made their vitamin K out of. They've made the metabolite, the lock to get them in the door, but they're also dragging behind them a chain of variables that get inside the body, get inside the cell, and do their damages, and that cell dies many more years before it's supposed to. The skin cells can go on for many, many years without having to be replaced if they're not secretly poisoned by a humanocin that is as a bacteriocin that is poisoning a structure, a microbe, by feeding it something, by making something available to it that is almost identical in the structure of the chemical that it needs, but they bring in different variables on these structures. We need our vitamins from the foods we eat. We need nothing from our little helpers, E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, mycobacteria, all these wonderful friends of ours that are making things that we use, that when we eat it in nature, when we eat it in our foods, it comes in the proper formula, the proper chemical structure. But when the bacteria make it, science always says, well, it's almost the identical structure, but there's just a few variables, but it's no big thing. That's not the truth. This battle of aging, life and death, the battle of life against death, happens truly on the nano level, on the quantum level of life. It has to first take place there, and then it starts affecting the massive structure that the animal is, that mankind is, and that you see the animals. Everything ages in nature is why mankind has felt that the aging and death, the decomposing while they're living, the becoming ancient and decrepit while they're living, and finally stopping dying, and then the bacteria burst forth and eat the body. They thought it was natural because it's happening to everything. But the sad thing is, everything has the Sensonic plague. The Sensonic plague. The plague of many acids in their body. The many bacteria that's in the gut of mankind. Some of it has yet to be identified. Mankind has so much bacteria in them, it is yet to be identified. Some of the strains or some of the species, whatever you want to call it, is in the gut of mankind. Here is the shocking depths of how these bacteria come in and poison our cells. The design of the cell and the positive energy of the human body is very strong. It's what's holding us together. Each cell having a positive energy in it and clinging to one another and holding each other together, this mass stays together. But when you look at these structures, that these chemical structures that our enemy, the infection, the pandemic plague is feeding us, you suddenly realize this is in us. It's part of us now. Science claims that mankind is outnumbered 10-1 in the body, the structure of the body. But I say if you bring in nanobacteria, you bring in the LUCA energy, you add all these things together, I believe we are outnumbered 50-1, maybe even more. We're receiving a massive attack. But that shows you how strong we are, because we can live to be 10 decades old. But without this massive attack of the Sensonic plague, the Sensonic plague, this attack is it's bringing us down centuries before we're ever even to be near death. That's how massive this attack is. Now watch this, ladies and gentlemen. It's shocking. It's shocking to examine how they enter us and become part of our very chromosomes, our genes. E. coli, many other bacteria make many vitamins. Riboflavin is one of these vitamins that our good friend E. coli makes for us. Just a little bit different structure that we get out of our foods we eat. But E. coli, the wonderful associate of ours, that science knows that if it gets control of the gut, as Pseudomonas aeruginosa, if E. coli gets control of the gut completely, we die immediately of sickness. If they get complete control of the gut, we die as children. We die as young men and women. We cannot even live to an old age. If they get control of the gut, they kill us. They give us a horrible sickness that we finally die from. But our good symbiotic friends here, who many scientists say live with us in symbiosis, which the great Eli Michnikov said, maybe some of this is helping us a little bit, but I think what it's actually doing is aging us and killing us. Over 100 years ago, what an amazing man. What an amazing man. To see through the gibberish. As I show here, I have scientific data written above this, and I have the picture of a vortex. A whirlwind, a vortex. That is scientific data. If you look at scientific data and you go in and you try to bring out truth, it is a massive vortex of misinformation, misdiagnosis of research data. And that is what took place long ago. Men who've done great research brought out a lot of visual data, brought out a lot of writings that they wrote about visual data, but then their conclusions were wrong. They've seen these bacteria making amino acids, and they said, well, these are wonderful beings here. Some of them took over the textbooks, and they started writing, wow, our friend bacteria are really something else. I talked to a young lady one day that demanded that I apologize. Who did she ask me to apologize to? A very young scientist, a very young biologist. Who did she demand that I apologize to? She demanded I apologize to bacteria for saying they're not our friends. She was in tears. She was emailing me and she was ranting and telling me, but I learned from her conversation, she proved through her conversation with me something that I had not found as yet to prove my hypothesis, to prove my epiphany, my theory, my now law. I consider it a law that we already have all the information we needed. I had a theory that was part of my tracing things down, and she proved it to me in her demandings of me apologizing to our wonderful friends bacteria. But that was not caused by her. That was by her teachers. All of our teachers from the past, those that got control of textbooks and making textbooks, they were wrong and thought they were right. Bacteria is not our friend. Riboflavin made by E. coli goes in and becomes what? What does riboflavin become in the human body? Starts breaking down, different links start breaking off, and it becomes a 5-carbon sugar. What is that 5-carbon sugar? Ribose. Ribose. E. coli and many other bacteria long ago got control and stole the DNA formula. As we see under microscopes this day, you see bacteria going and conjugating with another bacteria, stealing its DNA. They find DNA lying around. They pick it up. They use it. They steal each other's formula. They steal what that being needs to exist. They long ago discovered what the skin cells need to exist and function. They long ago discovered what the microbic bone cells and the microbic muscle cells and skin cells of the body need to exist, and they began to produce a near identical formula with some variables in it to when it comes in, it helps over the long term break down the body. When the ribose and the different things become part of our muscles that we bring in from our diet, our body becomes strong, and that ribose helps keep it strong. When the ribose of E. coli and the different things from Pseudomonas aeruginosa and the vitamin K of E. coli, when they become part of this structure, it reaches a point where it becomes a breaking down agent, to where it becomes a decomposer agent that's locked in our bones, that's locked in our cells, that's locked in our muscles, even in our brain, to where it's breaking us down secretly, slowly, by their riboflavin being used, by their vitamin K being used. And here's another one. Here's another one that helps slow down the energy level of mankind. E. coli makes another humanicin. Humanicin, that's what the riboflavin of E. coli is. That's what the vitamin K of E. coli is a humanicin. As they make bacteriocins to kill each other, they make humanicins to kill us, another eukaryotic cell. And as science has seen, they make toxins to kill a similar cell, a similar bacteria. Well, we are all, many of these bacteria that are killing us are eukaryotic as our cells. They stole our genome long ago and started making themselves as eukaryotic cells. They stole our genome. There's men I've talked to, and they said, well, then that means we have to be created and developed and grown and built by a eukaryotic bacteria. No. In my thoughts, in my decision on this issue, the eukaryotic bacteria stole our genome long ago and started making structures similar to ours, to where they can build inside their structures humanocins, bacteriocins, to kill mankind, to kill animal, then eat us and go. Vitamin K, glycerol 3-phosphate. Glycerol 3-phosphate. Science is amazed by it. I've read papers on it, and science is amazed. They say the bacteria pump out glycerol 3-phosphate the day long. They just make huge portions of it, and it enters mankind, and it's just so wonderful for us. No, 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 no. We get glycerol 3-phosphate from other areas. The body can even produce some amounts of it. Glycerol 3-phosphate, if it comes in through our diet, is no problem. But this becomes a humanocin, a bacterial sin to kill a microbe. We are a microbe. We're built on the same structure as microbes. Each part of our body is a microbe holding us together and making us a large microbe. Our gut is the main nucleus of every microbe of this body, the main structure that feeds every cell of the body, and they are pumping into our body glycerol 3-phosphate, goes into our muscles. Even many of these cross the blood-brain barrier and get into the brain. They're breaking us down the day long, decomposing us with clandestine, with sinister, secretive humanocins. They stole our genome long ago. They use everything from plasmids to operons to single genes to make different peptides to enter the body of man and destroy us slowly. And mankind has decided, due to men decades ago saying that bacteria was good for us and our best buddies. They're in there trying to kill us. When we finally get old enough, pseudomonas says, bam, I've got him, and takes us out. Andre Grata discovered the method in which bacteria kill our eukaryotic system, kill our body slowly. When he discovered bacteriocins, to where they are killing other bacteria that's similar to them in structure, and they're killing one another, making things to kill each other. Well, we are a conglomerate of microbes. They send in these humanocins. Each cell gets old, dies, but we replace it before it dies or after it's removed. We replace it with another cell. That is the greatness of our system, why we're so strong and we can exist nearly 100 years. But we have the capability due to this amazing system, we have the capability of living centuries instead of mere decades. One day, I learned about Dr. Aubrey de Grey a little over 3 years, well, it was almost 4 years ago now. But I learned about him, and I heard a young man talking about his near love for Dr. Aubrey de Grey. It may be a love. I love my fellow man. But he's discussing this man called Dr. Aubrey de Grey. And said there was a video on YouTube about it. I said, well, let me go to YouTube and learn about this great man. And I go to YouTube, and unusually, the first video I found of him, I turned on this video, and he's in a short interview, and he's very agitated. He's very upset. And this man says, what do you think about the system of geriatrics, the gerontology of America and Earth? What do you think about it? And Dr. de Grey just rose up and he said, it's fucked up. It's fucked. I said, wow, capsulization. I've had those days. I just stepped back and said, man, this is fucked up, man. This whole system is screwed up, and we've got to straighten it out. And this amazing man, Dr. de Grey, he's broken down in 7 ways how the cell is dying. Man, that's amazing. I've read men, and I've followed men, everything from them saying there's a destructive gene, that there's a killer gene inside our body that decides when we're to get old and die. Just many things like that. But Dr. de Grey knows it's an overall problem of the human cell. And he started to say, hey, man, here's what we got to do. Here's what we got to do to stop this. And he mentions pathogens in his 7 things to get rid of. He's a wise man. But what made me understand his wisdom that day is when his frustration leaped forward and he said, this situation, this system is fucked up, man. People are dying all over the world. And I agreed with him because, like I say, I've said that before myself. I said, oh, man, this is fucked up. How do you capsulize it? How do you explain this? Well, I've just explained to you why I've named this pandemic plague that mankind has. I've named it the Sensonic. I named it at first. And then suddenly it hit me. I said, well, if I remove the E from Sensonic, I can also call it the Sensonic plague after the SINS organization and the impressive man, Aubrey de Grey, who can end the conversation, show the big picture in one quick word. He says this situation's fucked up and it's got to end. I am with Dr. Aubrey de Grey, and we have the means to the end. We could have stopped it years ago. Dr. Aubrey de Grey is an amazing man. His 7 ways are amazing. He knew the entire cell had to be repaired. Once we stop this infection, the body itself will do some repairs, but then I have found a system, the Gerivify algorithm and serum elixir, to where the way we process and grow our foods and the medicinal elixir, which is an organic system, it goes into the body and starts helping the body rebuild with the proper nutrients, but it also has things in it that are the natural enemy of aging and death in nature. So that's the amazing thing of the Gerivify serum and elixir. It has the natural enemy of aging and death in it that goes into the body. It has to be taken each day for it to help. But then the body will be healed of the aging disease. Then it will start to rejuvenate, and then we will be living centuries instead of mere decades. The system's in place. Mankind has the capability, due to the stem cell system, which is infected, dying in us. When the stem cell is out of the body, it can live indefinitely. And science has proven that the stem cell dies in the form of skin cells, bone cells, muscle cells, every day, dies in the form of a stem cell itself in the battle of life against aging and death. If the bacteria of the body is such a good friend of ours, why is 75% of the immune system located in the gut of mankind? Because it's fighting, doing everything it can to stop the enemy of life, which is the pandemic plague that is literally nearly all bacteria of the gut making different toxins, different Humaniocins, in the guise of being a substance we need that enters us and becomes part of our system. Ladies and gentlemen, let's end this here. Let's end this disease right here. This is the era of the end of aging and death, and why when I start a video, I say welcome. Welcome to the end of aging and premature death. My name is Rodney Berry. You can find more information on my websites. Thank you very much.